Ryobi Technologies brings to you the BT3100, the precision wood cutting system designed to offer you benchtop convenience in a stationary table saw. The BT3100 has the blade, the power, and the cutting depth to handle just about any wood cutting project you might encounter. It's loaded with features that make preparing for the cut quick and accurate, and the actual cutting smooth, precise, and repeatable. The optional accessories offered for the BT3100 allow the saw to grow with you as you grow in your capabilities. The first thing you should do is check to make sure you have all of the parts for assembling your saw. Clear a space to lay out loose parts and double check with your manual to make sure you have everything. In the unlikely event that any items are missing or damaged, call Ryobi customer service toll-free at 1-800-525-2579 for assistance.
Don't attempt to assemble or operate your saw until you have everything needed.
Before assembling your saw, it's a good idea to put together the tools you'll need. You'll be using a combination square, a wrench with a 7/16 inch socket, 3/4 inch wrench, an adjustable wrench, a 3/8 inch nut driver, a number 2 Phillips and a flat blade screwdriver, and a framing square.
Okay, let's get started.
The first thing you'll need to do is assemble the leg stand. This is a simple process, but we do have a couple of recommendations. It's probably easier to assemble the leg stand if it's placed on your workbench or some other level surface. Follow the instructions shown in your manual, and just remember, the legs are mounted on the outside. Once the leg stand is assembled, move it to the desired location and adjust the leveling feet. You can now mount the leg stand onto the table saw base.
Let's start assembling your saw.
First, let's install the front and back rails. As you soon discover, these rails are a key to the BT3100's versatility. The front rail, the one with calibrated markings, should be installed first. Position the plastic end plugs on both rails and secure by tapping it with a block of wood or a mallet. Now loosen the front rail clamps 1/2 turn from the tightened position and the square rail holder nut 1/4 turn. Mount the front rail and check to make sure the rail clamp securely grabs the rail. You can now install the back rail using the same procedure. The next step is to install the Ryobi sliding miter table. This is an integral and proven component of the BT3100 system. Open the 4 miter locking clamps and place the miter table assembly on top of the front and rear rails. With the clamps in the unlocked position, the miter table slides directly toward and away from the blade on the table saw. Make sure it slides easily.
Don't force the miter locking clamps all the way down. Tighten them only to a flat seated position.
Next, you can install the BT3100's oversized miter fence. Slide the miter fence holder's 2 tabs into the large channel on the back of the miter fence. The small red miter indicator is also located here. Installing the miter fence holder to the miter fence is easy. Loosen the attachment bolt by turning the adjusting clamp, the knob on top, counterclockwise. The locator pin and miter indicator are on opposite ends of the miter fence. Mount the miter fence to the miter table by installing the locator pin on the bottom of the miter fence into hole A closest to the blade, or into hole B furthest from the blade. At the same time, place the attachment bolt into the table slot. Secure the adjustment clamp, but don't tighten it. Now you can adjust the miter indicator to the scale and securely tighten the adjusting clamp. Okay, now we're going to install the BT3100 accessory table. Check the lever on the front of the accessory table just to make sure it's open. Now you can mount the accessory table onto the back rail by placing the tabs into the mating grooves in the rail. Position the slot on the underside of the accessory table onto the front rail and tighten the lever securely. To install the rip fence, the first thing that you need to do is remove the scale indicator assembly from the plastic bag and install it. The rip fence on the BT3100 was engineered to be used on either the left or the right side of the blade, one of the few table saws at any price to offer this considerable advantage.
The right side is probably more common. One caution, however, the rip fence must always be on the left side of the blade when you're making beveled cuts.
Okay, put the panhead screw into the mounting hole located on the face of the front block. With the screw hole on the indicator assembly pointing up, place the indicator on the back side of the front block and secure with the hex nut. The indicator assembly should conform to the angle on the back of the block. Now you can install the fence. Lift the locking handle and place the lip on the back of the fence onto the back rail, and then lower the rip fence onto the front rail. Now test it. Make sure it moves easily on the rails and is seated flat on the table. The rip fence is self-aligning. As you start pushing down on the handle, the rip fence grabs the front rail at 2 points, aligning the fence so that it's parallel to the blade. As you push down farther, the back of the fence clamps the back rail, making the fence stable and rigid. The next few steps require that the throat plate be removed. First, take out the screw on the throat plate. Now pull slightly up and toward the front of the saw to remove the throat plate. With this taken care of, it's a good time to talk about changing the blade. The first thing you need to do is make sure the bevel locking lever is securely pushed to the left. Raise the blade arbor to its full height by turning the blade adjusting handle clockwise. The blade was installed and aligned at the factory. It's a carbide tipped blade designed, tuned, and balanced specifically for the BT3100. Because the BT3100 has such a great depth of cut, heat would quickly build up on an ordinary blade, but this extraordinary blade was designed with laser cut openings to dissipate heat. This 36-tooth carbide-tipped general-purpose blade is excellent for most jobs. It comes standard with the BT3100. The Ryobi 60-tooth smooth crosscut blade, sold separately, gives you performance unbeatable at any price. Ryobi's Precision Dado set offers the capabilities of professional quality dado cutting. This premium blade set cuts dados from 3/16 of an inch to 13/16 of an inch and will meet a wide range of woodworking applications. The dado throat plate, an optional accessory, is required. To change blades, use the 2 wrenches that came with your saw, but first,
Anytime you're not using your saw, make sure it is double unplugged at the power source and its built-in switched receptacle.
all right now, using the smaller hex wrench, insert the flat open end into the flats on the arbor shaft. Insert the larger hex wrench over the hex nut. Holding both wrenches firmly, pull the larger wrench forward towards the front of the machine to loosen and push to tighten. The arbor shaft has left-hand threads. Make sure the blade nut is securely tightened, don't over-tighten. Okay now, let's install the blade guard assembly. With the blade at its full height, move the bevel locking lever to the right. This is the bevel mode. Turn the adjusting handle until the blade reaches 30 degrees as shown on the bevel indicator. Hold the blade adjusting handle with one hand. Use the other hand to push the bevel locking lever firmly to the left